Could you explain what authentic relating is for people that don't know?
It's many things, but it's a practice that allows us to connect as human. We get to reveal the unknown or the unconscious. It's about being raw and authentic and honest and open about our own experiences, so about my experience. But it's not just this being completely, it's just about saying whatever's on your mind. There's also a recognition that there's someone else in relation to me. I'll say that.
I love that. And that's like, this podcast is actually a unique one, because usually when I'm interviewing people or having people on, I'm like, okay, I got the topic, and then I have like these ideas about like pillars, just in case there's nothing to say. I have these things.
Right.
I don't have that here.
Yeah.
And I like that. To me is an edge, because two different edges for us, because I like structure. I like having that little breeze and little drizzle. The rain coming down. It's nice.
I'm curious about this edge because I felt like you could feel my edge. I don't like definitions, but it's important and valuable.
Yeah.
And I can feel, as you talk about your edge, I'm curious about what the experience of being on your edge is in this subtle way, especially because I think you uniquely help people overcome their fears and have a big expression of being on their edges, like jumping off of cliffs and so many things. But this is technically a subtle edge, so I'd love to hear your experiences.
This is raining a good amount. This is absolutely beautiful in this moment, and we'll see how much rain we get, but we'll embrace it for now. This is even part of that edge, right? Wanting conditions to be a certain way. We're literally being rained on as I speak. Usually I have an environment that is controlled, less wild, less unpredictable. I have my studio, and I have a place that's I know what's going to happen there, at least for the most part. It's Costa Rica, so you can't really know, but this was one that I was like, I want to break that and just find a place outside and let's just see what happens. And we're in Hawaii right now, so it makes sense that we get a sun shower and we're covered in rain. And so that this edge for me right now is actually really fun. Like, it's fun to be here with you in this edge. And I think that being because this is not an edge for you. So there's this cool dance that we get to have where a part of this podcast was an edge for you because of the structure. And then a part of this podcast is an edge for me because of the lack of structure. Yeah. And that the reason that it feels less of an edge is because both get to dance. We're like, cool, we get to be here in this space and just see what comes up. But it is still, I notice even when you're speaking, I'm like, okay, let me make sure I bring this down a certain path of discussion so we get to a place that makes a lot of sense for the listeners. And so to actually even get out of that and to think less and to just let it unfold while still understanding the time capacity and still understanding there will be people listening, but not needing that to inform what I say. There's this dance that's happening right now, and it's just is still unfolding.
I love this part of you that feels like it's protecting, it's looking out. You're looking out for your listeners, you're looking out for us and the elements. And there's a spaciousness. You're not so rigid, which is what I love about being friends with you, is that you get to meet some of your edges. I get to meet mine. We're not going to extremes. Like, both of us are in some comfort and some discomfort. And so we're on an edge, so to speak. We're both in our own ways, but that's where I think the most expansion can happen. At least in my experience, I can't, without both of those elements in a balance, grow. That is the most efficient way for me to grow.
I agree. And I think in particular, this friendship, that is one of the big elements of why it is so nourishing. It's not just this constant, like, okay, because we have a call every week. You know, we don't always make that call, but it's there. It never feels like, oh, okay, like we'll just hop on and like same old. Like, it's never that. It's never that. It's like whatever is going on in our life, we're really going to share it. Whatever happened this past week is going to be so real. Yeah. And it might be like, I'm going to speak the whole time and you're going to listen, and we'll have a little bit where you're going to speak the whole time. And that's kind of like what you're saying, like the edge, but also the safety. I like that dance. And I think that's an element that keeps a friendship so strong. Is there's not just this, oh, okay, it's a same old thing. Like, there's that settling. Yeah. And I don't feel that at all. There's this unknown and like this desire to explore and to see what's beyond, while also being like, and if nothing is happening, that's also completely cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious with friendships, especially ones of opposite sex, the fact that we can navigate the friendship we do, and it always feels so good, and the places we get to go, and the fact that we don't even live in the same country for 80% of the time.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Why do you think our friendship happens? Because that also is helpful to thinking about opposite sex relating without the sexual component, with just deep desire to connect.
The one thing that's coming up, which I never can quite land on an answer, but there, at least for me, I think that you uniquely have all these different parts of you that you are intimate with and know very well. And so my experience with the male friends that I have, like, there isn't a shyness or a contraction or a fear of, I don't know, your sexual attractions or your expressions. Yeah. So I trust you. I think that's part of it. And there's, it's hard to put into words, but I think the people that I'm not so interested in, I mean, the opposite, I'm not so interested in having friendships, is that there might be some part of them that they can't meet within themselves, and sometimes it happens where it's important to bring it into the relational space and talk about it. But yeah, with you, it's always felt
that.
Don't have a word for it.
What was coming up for me when you were saying that is like the continuation of what you were going to say in my mind was it always felt easy even when it was hard. There's like that version of it, because we've had difficult conversations, but even in that, it felt there was an ease.
I felt like I could always bring up frustrations and irritations that at first were really uncomfortable. But I think this conversation about male-female friendships, the underlying conversation really is about like attraction. So I haven't quite fully thought through how that works 100%.
In authentic relating and like in these games, because you're somebody who does a lot of contact dance and authentic relating, and you go to a lot of workshops. I used to run some of these, right? That space, there's obviously a mix. Men, women, everybody's kind of relating and connecting. And I mean, contact jams, you're like, talk about intimacy. Your bodies are rolling on each other. How do you, because that's a way where intimacy is happening. In subtleties, it could be sexual, but it's not supposed to. That's not the point. It's not to have sexual connection. To be in a dance with a man, but it not be sexual. Right. How do you navigate that? How does that come to be?
I would say sometimes there is a lot of like erotic and romantic energy, and that's not scary. Like, and it doesn't last forever. Just like the playful energy, just like the intense, like animalistic, like weird, and that's what's fun for me, and maybe why it's easy to stay friends with you or people who have multiple layers, that it's not, this might be it. It's like some men will approach just with the romance energy, which is a beautiful thing, and if that's what your objective is, then that's great, right? But then there are other realities, other spaces that we cannot enter into because that's the priority and the focus. So then I know, okay, this is not someone who is at a time and place to be friends with me. And I also have to be aware of what my priorities are and be really open and honest about that, because if my priority is about romance and sexual attraction in this space, then it's about really being honest and moving through all these energies, I would say.
I think that's something you do really well, at least from what I've noticed, is communicating difficult things. At least I think that, and that's my experience of you, is that you're really able to communicate if something is like oh, that's not it. And we used to have this group, the no WhatsApp group, and every time we said no, we put it in there because both of us are people that are like, yeah, the people pleasing route. And so I remember actually having that group, and that was game changer. So having accountability and saying no. And I think you've strengthened that muscle so much over the years. Like your ability to just be like, in this moment, I want, even if it's a little bit hesitant or uncomfortable, or to most it would be like, ooh, I don't know if I feel good enough to ask for that.
Yeah.
That goes into what you desire, but it also goes in what you don't desire,
right,
into your boundary.
Right.
How did you start to strengthen the muscle of communicating things that feel difficult?
I saw the payoff, or I felt the payoff. The payoff was immensely liberating, and it just, maybe at a certain point it just became too much. It became too painful. I mean, probably the answer is that at some point I realized, like, I can't blame anybody. I'm the one who's not communicating my needs. I'm the one who's the equation for like all these frustrations with whoever, like small and big. And the only way that I can really live a life that I want, of feeling love and freedom, like especially freedom, like this is something I have to learn. Yeah.
I know that freedom is a big word of yours.
Yeah.
To feel that and to know that experience.
Yeah.
Like freedom in what ways? Like what ways are freedom important to you?
Mm-hmm. I want to be able to be with whatever's showing up within me. And like maybe circling back to the friendship conversation, is that whatever, or the dance conversation, whatever it is that's true right now, I can trust. I can trust my body. I can listen to it. I don't have to act on it, but I want to listen. I want to know. I want to be close to myself, right? Nobody else can read that or see that through me, which is why I also love this being here with you. You can see my expression. You can hear my words. You can kind of read my body language, but you won't ultimately know. And even if I share it, what is the ultimate truth? I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But I think I love that practice. Again, to circle back to the beginning, is because it brings me closer to myself. And the closer I am to myself, the more free I feel. I'm not afraid to be any part of me. I want to go into whatever emotion it is that is surfacing and trust that I will come out of it, and trust the people around me to maybe journey with me there to witness. But that's kind of maybe the ultimate freedom, is to live in each moment, receiving and accepting and letting go.
I think that's such an edge for most people. I know for me too, definitely. I'm curious, the side of like, okay, showing up and being completely authentic is ideal, but a lot of people are probably like, I don't have a partner, or I don't have the friend, or I don't have the person to do that with. How do you, like, what questions would you ask a person? And I would love for you to ask them to me.
Yeah.
And then I'll actually share in real time.
Right.
But they might answer a question, or they might, like, you might have the courage listening to this, somebody who's like, I want to ask my partner this. I want to ask a friend this. I want to start asking questions. And I don't mean to put the pressure of this needs to be an epic question, but even something simple of like, how would you start to ask these questions that start to cultivate and bring forward truth and freedom in a relationship?
It's so basic and foundational, and you'll be great at this, but I would always start with myself.
Okay.
So starting with you and accessing what you can experience within your body.
Okay.
Like the most unfiltered experience of what you're sensing, right? Like what do you feel right now within your body?
My body. What does my body feel? I feel a little tension in my low back. I feel breeze in my neck. There's also a little bit of tension. I notice I want to keep kind of shifting. Those are the big things that I feel right now in my body.
And how does it feel to share that? What's it like now that you've exposed that to me?
It makes me feel like I can kind of shift actually to do that. I feel like I have like permission to be like, I named that. Now I can extend my leg out or shift how I'm sitting because you know that there's a tension in my body, so I don't have to like perfect my posture because I named it out, so I can now kind of like relax a bit and soften in my body.
Yeah, I feel more relaxed even just seeing you move your own body. And I'm curious, now you've extended your leg, like what has happened from that movement for you?
I feel like now there's like this openness. I know I said softening, like my back feels softer. I feel like I can support it better. It feels like there's just like openness in my body, but it's kind of translating to like a relaxation in my thoughts.
Okay.
In receivership of, your questions. So there's lots of opening.
I'm curious about those thoughts, though. You're seeing this. Like my story is about, okay, you're preparing the next question and like tying it back, and you shared a little bit about that to give me a window into it. Yeah, I'm curious about that process of you asking me this container, this shift. Yeah.
It definitely feels like a big shift. Like I have no thoughts in what I'm going to say next, which feels good. I love that space. Like to be in a place where I'm like, I'm not thinking what I'm going to say next. I'm purely present with what you're saying. It just feels a lot better in my body. I love both sides, but this feels just easier to be like, okay, there's nothing to say correct. There's nothing to say incorrect. It's just saying. So that feels nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you say that, I feel less like buttoned up or something. Yeah, or some like more clear pathway or connection is there.
Right. So what you just went from my body to what that means to the thoughts to then you brought me into your thing. Like how that's so deeply connecting. Obviously that's an example of like we already know each other. I'm connected to my body pretty well, but I name things that are just like real. Those are real things going on in my body. That wasn't a performance. That was just real.
Yeah.
And I think that's great because that can really happen at any moment.
I started with the body. I wouldn't necessarily say that's where you have to start. It was one place, but if I think back on some level, I feel like you're a little bit uncomfortable physically in like this seating position. And so
it made sense to
and
go
it doesn't mean we need to shift, but my curiosity goes into what experience are you having on a physical level versus if I felt like I can't explain it necessarily, but like I'm just tuning in and getting curious. So maybe I have a story that you have a lot of thoughts going through. And so I might ask you more about, what are you thinking about? Like what's going on up here versus like, like I have a story and remember like I'm just guessing, right? This is my story, but maybe like, is there some heartache or what's going on emotionally? So maybe as a guideline, it would be those. You could start with those three: physical, emotional, mental, and then tune in. Where are you most curious about intuitively?
It's good how you frame it, and I think that's such an important highlight. 'Cause you could go to your partner right now and be like, "Oh, is it this that you're feeling? Oh, is it that?" But it's you frame it as my story is, or I feel that.
Yeah,
it's very much like it's nonviolent communication as well. I imagine authentic relating speaks to this, but. That is so important. How do you tend to go about like acknowledging an emotion if somebody's obviously in that thing, especially if it's directed at you? And maybe it's not being directly said. Maybe they're not like, I'm mad at you right now. That's obvious. Right. Somebody you can just feel like they're in an emotional experience. How do you tend to go about acknowledging emotion without triggering or amplifying the emotional experience?
Yeah, you really hit kind of the most delicate one, I think.
For sure.
Right. There's a bit of a dance that happens. I'm thinking of sort of the anti-examples first. I don't want to project and say, you're angry, right? Like, I really try to be careful. I'm checking in with how I feel about the story of their emotion. Yeah. So if I see that you're angry, as an example, or sad, or whatever emotion it is, and I have to see, am I uncomfortable with this? Am I asking you because I want you to move out of it? Am I asking because it's bringing up, like, I'm judging it, like you're not supposed to feel this? Or whatever it is. So I think even tuning into my own feeling about it is the starting point, so that ideally I'm in a state of like real acceptance, real curiosity, and not wanting to change anything. Like, really, I want to know. I want to see if there's anything that I can do, but it can be very subtle. Like, I can ask a question with judgment. So that's where I pay attention within myself.
Yeah, that's absolutely important. I think, and then that makes me feel something. Like my partner or a friend is mad, so I'll get defensive. And now my state is like, defend that anger.
Right.
So I think it's about me.
Right.
Like it's about like, why are you mad? Like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, not that direct, but it would be about that. And to actually reel it back in and be like, am I actually grounded right now? Am I actually in a place to speak to this, and or am I just triggered by their emotion? And to name it, like this right now I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And that just invites in the space. The other side of it would be, you are the one going in with an emotion towards a friend or a person, which we have a good example of this.
Yeah.
You had an emotion that showed up towards me. This is back when we were coworkers. And we were coworkers, we were friends, and you had something that came up towards me, and you were able to communicate that thing. At first, it was definitely like, oh, this is a lot for what we're feeling, but we got to a really cool place. And so I wanted to hear more about that, about how you communicate your emotions, your frustrations, your sadness or whatever, because I know you're not somebody to like store it and to be like, okay, I gotta hold this thing in. You're somebody to express it, but in really beautiful ways of communicating, like better than anyone else have ever seen, ever witnessed. You really are able to communicate and articulate emotion. And I don't mean articulate in the sense of with your mind, in your body, or I noticed this thing, and very much like that practice.
Yeah.
I've seen firsthand, you tell me how you're feeling about my actions, about my thing, but really it's about your feeling. It's not what I'm doing.
Right.
So
what do you remember from receiving that?
yes, I remember we were on a Zoom call, that's for sure. And I recall, so we had a meeting, there was 3 of us. There was another woman working with us at the time, and we were all kind of working together on a project. And I recall when we got on the call, kind of feeling some tension, like not the usual experience that I have. Like when I hop on a call with you, I'm like, oh, this is Lisa, like, we're here, we're chilling, we're going to drop into this project. It felt, so there was some tension. And then I don't remember specifics, so I would butcher exactly what you said, but I do recall feeling at first when you were speaking tight and like, oh, I did something that pissed Lisa off, aka I did something wrong. And at the time I was like, oh no, like I love Lisa, I still love Lisa, but at the time I was like that, like, oh no, I don't want to do something wrong here. So I noticed that tension, but then I noticed as you were speaking, there was a softening in me where I was like, oh, okay, this is her experience of me. She's not saying I am wrong, I am bad, she's not saying that. So actually I can not take this personal. So I noticed like the permission of, I think it's personal, and then realizing, oh wait, based on what you're saying, it's actually not. So I could have stayed there and been like, she thinks I'm doing something, but I didn't feel like I had to defend based on what you were saying, even though I can't remember the specifics. But I wonder why
That's
that
a
is.
key. Well, I'll also premise that I was terrible at sharing my real feelings, which is why I am so fascinated by how people do this that I'm obsessed with learning how to do it. So it was extremely uncomfortable, like unbearably uncomfortable for me, because conflict was like the last thing I want to do. It's not how I was trained to keep the peace, to stay safe, and so forth. So thank you. And it's coming from a place of like being so terrible at it. And that's why I love that you can learn, like anyone can learn this. That the point that you made about not feeling blamed is the golden nugget. Whatever it takes to express feelings to someone in a way that is not projecting onto them is going to make the conversation possible. So sometimes if I'm not able to do that, I will give context and say, I'm going to say some things that I don't really mean because I'm not ready to fully own what's happening. So, and I'll ask for permission. Like, are you available for me to kind of blurt and just say whatever's on the top of my mind? And I might say, like, how dare you? I can't believe you showed up like this. Like, it makes me, I told you 100 times, like, whatever it is that the story that's playing out. But that takes a lot of skill and permission. If the other person isn't able to hold that, then I would do my best to really get clear on owning my experience and saying, wow, I felt so confused and hurt by you not being able to share with me that you made a mistake, and I don't know why this was hidden from me, and now I feel this contraction. I mean, I'm making this up on the spot. So it's less about you doing something wrong and more about describing what's happening within me. So a level of self-awareness is very helpful.
Do you have a more recent example with a friend where some conflict or something in you spoken up and you had to navigate one of these tools, or didn't, and you like, oh fuck, I missed the mark, and you had to go back? Or is there a more recent thing that you can surface?
Yeah, these are fun because they are taking subtler and subtler forms. This happened a couple days ago where my husband offered me a double shot of espresso. That's the objective he offered, like, I'm going to make you a double shot coffee. I freaked out and had a whole story because I had explained that I only want one shot. So this part of me that was like, you're not listening, you don't care, you don't respect me, this is my boundary. It suddenly became this whole thing about not being listened to, and I got very angry. Like, the energy moved out of me and like straight to him, and he could feel that. It's hard to describe. Like, the details of it aren't what matters. It's like more on the energetic level of what was happening. And so I apologized. I was like, okay, I can see what was going on here. My family and my friends around something that was important to me. So anyway, it goes into these deeper layers because it's not about the coffee. It's not about you. I'm always in a process of like these triggered moments. What just happened? What was that? It like brings me into another reality, and I then have this window or doorway into something deeper in myself that I can't dig through. It will happen to be seen and healed. So that's one example. And then I could explain, hey, this wasn't about the coffee at all, babe. Here's what I think I understand about it. And then there's compassion, understanding, and that
takes so much strength though to go back and actually, like, the tools are one thing. In real time, that's hard, right? And
right.
Like you mentioned, in real time to name, which I actually love. I'm going to be pissed right now. Do you have space for that? I'm going to say things that I don't mean. I just want to preface, and then you can, and that's somatic, right? That is like a somatic release in what you feel. Another way to do it, obviously, like you said, is like actually structure what you're saying. Like, I feel this, and that, I think that's even harder if you're feeling an emotion. It's to really draw it back to you. But what you're saying is like, even if you fuck up, even if you say something, oh, I didn't mean that, the power in being able to go back and own the parts of you that came up, these parts that you get really interested in and that want compassion and love, to own that and be like, oh, that was me. That's what a journey that is, to actually be able to go back and self-reflect, and then it doesn't blame the other person. Even if, and I notice this happens in my partnership, is something will trigger me, I'll get mad, then she'll get mad that I'm mad because she thinks she's doing something wrong, and then I get mad. I'm like, why can't I just be mad without you getting mad? And then I take the attention off of me, and I'm like, she gets mad when I get mad. Why does she do that? And then I start investigating her story. But really, it's I should be investigating my story before hers, which is, I love it that you did that, because you didn't investigate your husband's story. You didn't go into like, you know, why doesn't he listen? Maybe it's because his thing and whatever. That's easy. You're a coach. But the harder thing is to investigate your story. how do you get interested in that? You have this, you said it's like candy, and I like it too. I think you love it even more than I do, than anybody I know. How does somebody start cultivating like an interest in their own stories and own beliefs? Because it can feel like shadow work, and shadow work can feel so scary and dark and like, oh, I don't want to do that. I have to process. And the way that I see you process tends to be pretty light or pretty loving, rather than I have to go to this dark place and see that version of me when I was a kid that didn't get the thing. It tends to be, at least this is my experience of you, is that you can go about it and like, okay, like let me just kind of navigate this. Has it always been like that, or did you kind of switch it into investigating the candy in a way to make it sweeter? How did you make the candy so sweet?
It's very somatic. The more that I try, like if I can witness other people doing it, or like I'm observing, like, why are you so free? Why is there no block? What are you doing? I'm getting curious about that, and I want to taste that. So I've just observed in my mentors and my people that I admire, that I love, all have this quality of incredible curiosity about their own experience and liberating themselves. So it's almost like, okay, well, fuck, if it's working for you, I gotta at least try. I mean, it sounds crazy. So that's probably, I'm just super, super grateful to have a community and people that I've been exposed to who I deeply admire and respect, who have shown me the way, whatever, there are many ways for it to happen. And I see you doing this too. Like, you're an example of that, of owning who you are, owning what you know. Like, it's so easy to navigate tense situations, and that's what I want to be surrounded by.
I like that. I see you actually do that. You really surround yourself with people, and I know you just moved to Hawaii, so in new places it can be hard, but you tend to keep connections. The people that you know before, you keep online connections. Us, right? We're here in Hawaii now, but this is just like a temporary thing. You're here for today and you leave tomorrow. So to keep the threads of connection to people that you want to continue to learn from and ask the questions to them that you're interested in, I think that's really cool. How do you find the people that you like, mentors and people you're interested in? What I think happens, and for me, I noticed in the past, I felt like I highlighted the things that I didn't like, or I'm like, they're not fully the person I want to be, so how could I learn from them? Obviously, we know the saying, you can learn from anybody. But how do you call in those people? How do you find those people? Is that something you've like strengthened in the way of communicating? So how do you navigate that for people, for ninjas in training, and to make connections and to actually find the people, or recognize these people are in my life? I want to ninja the things that I want to connect from them. Because I know you can also be selfish in a beautiful way like that. To what you desire, that you can get that.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Is I had to work through, and I'm still working through, I care about people's experiences. I want everyone to have equal relationships with me, and I would suppress the part of me that knows, oh, well, I like this person more than this person. And that would feel so wrong. Like, I don't judge anybody. I think everyone is a snowflake, and right, I see no differences. The thing that has helped me the most is actually like, I am allowed to have preferences. I am allowed to love people and see the beauty and qualities in others that are different. And I want to spend more time with certain people and less time with others. And we can outgrow each other, and we can, all of those things are welcome. So that became less of a threat. And it really became a conversation with myself of like, I have such a short life. We all have such a short amount of time. Like, who do I want to spend it with? How can I make that happen? And I have to be so honest with myself about that and honor it.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, the selfishness.
Yeah.
I love that piece of it.
Yeah, like, you are the best example. You are such a shining example of like choosing the seat that you want at the table, getting the best quality paddle when we play games, like not being afraid to receive. And you are an example of this for me that keeps reminding me to, yes, really go for it. And I'm still on that journey. I observe it to be effortless for you, or so natural. How was your journey with that?
Yeah, I think it's the side of being a people pleaser. Being selfish is like absolutely necessary because we've already trained the ability to prioritize other. I love people. I prioritize them. I have a kind heart. I've already trained that. Not everybody knows and feels that about themselves. Some people are on the opposite side. But for my side, the people who are like, I already know I can show up for people. I know I'm loving. I don't have to prove that. That's there. That's innately me. So I need to be fucking selfish. I need to prioritize exactly what I want. And I mean, shifting it, what I did is I took literal people. I was like, at the time it was my mom. I was like, I really love and care about and show up for my mom so hard. Like, I will prioritize things for her, so much so. And why don't I do that to myself? Why don't I do that same thing and how I'm showing up for her or my partner and flip it on me? What do I do for them? I go out of my way to make sure I get the snack that they like, or get this thing, or set up a beautiful dinner, or just little nuanced things to show my love for them.
Yeah.
I can do that for me, literally exactly for me. Taking myself on dates, doing these things that are just, what the hell do I want? Ask the question, what do I want today? And what do I desire? And then it's training it, right? Because scenario dependent for sure is hard, because it's different dynamics, different things. It's so much, but over time it is like, what do I actually want? Asking myself regularly to then create the capacity to strengthen the muscle of selfishness, because I've already trained selflessness, to then those worlds come together. I'm a loving, kind, selfish person, which I think is a beautiful balance to be in.
So what if what you want is in conflict with what someone else wants, and that is difficult for them or causes them some harm?
Trying to think of a scenario. Okay. There is, so my partner right now, she wanted to come here to Hawaii and was trying to figure it out. She's not here. So that's obvious. She didn't come, but she was trying to figure out how to come, and financially wasn't really working out. And there was this debate of like, will it work for us to go? Like, how will we do it? The people pleaser me was like, whatever we got to do, like, I'm going to get you there.
Right.
Because that's my tendency. Is to like, I'll pay. We'll do this. Like, I got you. We got connections. It's fine. That actually wouldn't have helped her, but it would have been a solution to the problem. So that's a scenario where I could have done that thing, paid for it. Surprise, I got you the ticket, you're coming. But would that really have helped her? Or is that just like feeding my ego of like, I'm going to give you this thing? So actually for me to be like, okay, it doesn't work out, I'm going to go. That feels way less comfortable. It feels way more comfortable to be like, I got you, let's do this. Because that's like my tendency is like, I got you, let's go, you're my girl, we're going to do it. But it actually ended up being beautiful for me to be like, I'm going to go do this thing. I got people to meet, friends to connect with, and I'll be back in 2 weeks. And yeah, it hurt a little bit that we couldn't do it together, but actually it ended up being exactly what's needed, rather than going to the pattern of like, I got it, it's all together, it's fine. It's like, no, it's actually going to be a better outcome for me to go on this solo, even though there's this piece of me that wants everybody to be included all the time to everything. So that's an example, not directly into like her thing that triggered her, but it's a piece of it, right? It's just wanting inclusion. You see this. I want everybody to come together, and like, I love that. And sometimes I want some solo time, and sometimes I want to do a thing on my own. It's not that common, but I want that. And so for me to communicate that, it's so rare that I haven't strengthened that over time as much, that when I can, I'm like, fuck yeah. And I'll celebrate those things to then amplify them in the future.
Great.
So like, I'm celebrating that I prioritized the thing I wanted, even though it made somebody else not feel great. And I communicated it, obviously, but that's celebrated. It's not like, ooh, I feel bad that I did that, maybe next time I won't. It's like, no, celebrate that and amplify that strength.
Yeah. How did you make that call?
Very nuanced, of course. It was, I feel, knowing what I wanted, no matter what she did, was already there.
Okay.
Like, I was like, you come, you don't, I'm going. That was a declaration I had. I'm really good at declaring at this point in time. There was a long time where I wasn't, but it was just like, And I used to be very, like I said, mom and partner, the feminine, wanting to make sure, especially them, that they were good and with me. And if I'm going, they're coming. But I've changed that to like, if I'm making a declaration to something I'm doing, if you come, fine. If you don't, fine. It's fine. It's great either way. You don't need to be along my side the whole time. And so that declaration, I think, solved 80% of it. And then it just came to communication with her. I was like, great, if you can get the ticket, you do that, but I'm not going to take care of that piece. Like, I'm going to go either way. And actually, she liked that. She didn't want me to buy the ticket. She was like, it actually is better that I stay. I don't want to feel like you have to buy my stuff. And I'm like, that's actually great. It was the internal dialogue in myself that made it bigger than it was.
Yeah.
It was like, she can't come, that means this. Should I even go? And it's like, no, there's a declaration of I'm going to go.
Okay.
So the inner declaration of the decision, and then if she comes, and I was actually neutral. Like if she comes, fine. If she doesn't, fine. That was actually there. It wasn't weighing towards either side. But I think that declaration is what makes the conversation easier, because also as the masculine, she feels that decision. I imagine you can relate to that. Like, she feels that I know. I'm not wavering and like, oh, depending on if you get a flight, honey. Like, it's like, no. That's happening. Right. Super clear. Get on board or stay here.
Right.
I love you either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. You don't have to show your love by buying a ticket or in these other ways of inclusion, which wasn't the right move for this. It's actually, you can show so much love and safety and care by doing what you want.
Yeah, that care is from my declaring.
Right.
And yeah, exactly that. She does appreciate that, and I know that about her. So every relationship, every connection is different. I noticed the time. Yeah. I noticed it at 45, and I'm like, we're going. Like, let's go. Let's get an hour. Okay, well, I'm curious about, like, as we'll start closing this up, but with communication right now in your life, what feels like the most difficult or interesting thing you are working with right now?
It's pretty much this.
Yeah.
It's owning what I want and declaring it and giving myself what I want. I realized there was a part of me for this trip too where I thought that maybe, actually I went through a little process on this trip too with my husband where I wasn't clear. I was a little bit wishy-washy. I'm trying to like make it really a summary, but part of me wanted to just make this a friend trip, and this wasn't like a partner trip. Like I kind of I used to compartmentalize that, and I didn't own that, or I didn't acknowledge it. At least it was like I have to always include him. And then when I was able to say that, oh, there is a part of me that doesn't want you to come on this trip, was so difficult. I have to let this be a part of my process, and it didn't necessarily need to include him, but it did, and that was really wonderful to be able to express my full self. And there's such another big part of me that really deeply desires for you to be on this trip, and so they're at odds, and one of them is afraid that it's not going to work out and I'm going to be disappointed, and the other one is like trying to stay safe because then I can like not get my hopes up. And so there's this whole dance happening inside of me, and so that's why it's coming across as kind of like wishy-washy. And originally I was blaming him in some ways, but yeah, so coming back to owning the multiple layers of each situation is really helpful, to be like, part of me doesn't want you here, and that just relaxed everything, and then the conversation could flow. We could actually communicate because it was welcome. It's like, she's right at the table too. Every part of me gets to be here, and we can then all discuss and come to a conclusion. So it felt clear and clean and really great.
So it's like so many parts of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I love that, because it's letting all parts of you be seen. And that is a declaration in my mind. That feels real, that it's a truth. It's like, I'm clear that I'm unclear. And that's clear. So the fact that you can name out the parts rather than the most wishy-washy would have been, doesn't matter, it's fine. And it wasn't true. You know, like, no, there's parts here that are like, it actually does matter here and it doesn't matter here. And both are alive. What do you think? And I had to hear that, like, as a masculine hearing from a feminine being. That's amazing. I would love to receive that. That's such a beautiful way to open what's possible. And then from that, I can be like, okay, cool. We can take this and we can go to this place. But it is clear, even though it seems unclear in clearness. So I actually really love that, because that's such a cool code that you don't need full understanding of a decision to then bring it forward. In my instance, there was. In your instance, there wasn't. But both needed to be said.
Yes.
And I think both things are so valuable. And speaking those out, even if we think we don't have the answer, this happens all the time with partners thinking about breaking up. Or it's like, oh, I don't know if we're a good fit, but I'm going to keep this into myself and wait till we get pissed at each other to then surface it. It's like, no, let's speak it when we're in a good place and name the multiple parts. Because we all have so many parts of us. So when we can start to play with the parts and communicate them is whenever we can start to authentically relate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mic drop.
We did it.
That was it. Bringing all the parts to the table, then we can actually meet. You see me, I see you. Yeah, really, really powerful.
Oh, thank you. I love your parts. Yes. And I love having your parts on this podcast.
All of us are here. All of your parts are here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So where can people find you and connect with you?
You can find me on Instagram, the Lisa Flynn. I'm so happy to connect with anyone who's curious and interested in exploring this part of your life. This is my greatest joy and absolute fascination, enjoyment.
Thanks for being on, Lisa.